guys are. So, I mean, ideally, I would like one of those two. I also rumors of Robert Williams, but give me the guys that I know that are healthy, that are young, have, if you're an NBA guy, you know that Kessler
Yes.
and Richards are good players on bad teams. And they're young. They give you a little bit of exuberance and youth, which the Lakers obviously desperately need as well. Right now, the only player moving forward that you could really consider building around that's younger is Dalton Connect. And I don't really see you building a team around him. He's a nice piece to maybe could develop into like a number 3. But that's like ceiling for him. So I think a realistic wish list, like I said, front court help, front court depth.
Yep.
I would like to see. I personally really like Walker Kessler, so I would love to see that. Like I said, I know the Robert Williams rumors
Been
have been
there,
out
done
there,
that.
but way too
Been
banged up,
there,
too
done
injury
that.
prone. Also, he's more expensive than the other two. So
Of his former team, the Boston Celtics. So, when you think of the Celtics, you think of NBA champions, right? Last year. Here's the issue that they face this year, and I did see it as a problem coming into the year. When you think of coming off a championship and learning from all your guys and figure out everybody's role, well, guess what? There's also a period of adjustment, whether that's guys getting hurt, whether that's guys underperforming. I think what they have to do, and this is an absolute. They are ranked 25th in the NBA in bench scoring at 30.5 points per game. They need to find that microwave type of scorer, that Lou Williams-esque type of player. They had one in Lonnie Walker in preseason, and obviously he went to the EuroLeague, but he is up for a signee as he can be signed in February by a team. Now, this is the main concept for me is you got to learn that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have a lot of tread on their tires. A lot. They played a significant amount of playoff games, Eastern Conference Finals, championship series, with the NBA Finals. So you have to understand that you cannot overwork these guys, right? And especially over the course of an 82 game season. I think it's most important to keep guys healthy. Yes, you want to keep the momentum going, the good swing that, events that you have on the court. But when you have a guy like Lonnie Walker, when you have a guy possibly like a Kyle Kuzma, who may want to get out of Washington finally, maybe Kevin Huerter, maybe he leaves the Sacramento Kings. They're looking to move parts, whether that's De'Aaron Fox or whether they want to acquire Cam Johnson. There's reports out there. So you kind of have to understand that you need a scoring punch off the bench. And what better way, for Lonnie Walker to come back? He had a pretty good preseason. I just think they didn't want to pay him, or they didn't have enough available spots, wherever it may be, because I believe Kristaps Porzingis was hurt at the time. They wanted to have Keita. They want to have Cornette. They want to have bigger pieces on that team. Xavier Tillman was still on that team, and he still is, but he's not playing as much. And so I have to believe that they'll do something at the deadline, if not sooner, in order to shore up that bench scoring. Because Peyton Pritchard, yes, he's having a run like a 6-man of the year, doing a lot of different things. He's shooting 45% from 3, which is absolutely ridiculous. Yep. But he can only do so much. Sam Hauser not doing as much. Jordan Walsh, second-year player, you don't want to rely on him as much. So I think they have to do something in order to find a way to make things happen. And Lonnie Walker wouldn't cost you a dime, especially with like a pick. It would just be, I don't know, like a $4 or $5 million contract for the rest of the year. Kevin Huerter would cost you, Kyle Kuzma as well. So I think Lonnie Walker is probably the best situation for the Boston Celtics to shore up that bench scoring.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker, a couple years removed from being on the Lakers bench, he had a couple of games where he was, like you said, that microwave scorer. He can get you points in a hurry. He's a very good perimeter shooter. He can slash, get to the rim. Just a very lethal scorer when he's on. But yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the bench depth and that statistic, because you would just assume, because Payton Pritchard having the season that he is, that the rest of the, and obviously like Hauser's made a name for himself in that role the last few seasons and not living up to it as much this year. But yeah, shocking that the Celtics are that low in bench scoring. When you think of them, you kind of
Horford, right?
Outside of him,
he's getting old. Like you don't have enough guys. Like you don't have enough active bodies that can put the ball in the hoop. Maybe defensively they're good, but you need guys that can score. That's part of the game. It's a two-way game. So see what happens.
All right. So New York Jets, I don't think we have enough time in this year. Things have to change. And we've said this a lot as Jet fans, and Jet fans that were watching this, listening to this will know. We're not that far off this time. Now, we got to keep guys happy, like Garrett Wilson, who went for 1,000 yards again this season. Did it with Zach Wilson. I did it with Aaron Rodgers. But, the rumors are he's going to want to trade if Rodgers comes back. And Rodgers is now saying, listen, it's up to Woody Johnson, and I want to maybe come back. But now he's saying, I'll make my decision by March, and he might be done with football. It's possible that his last game of his career is going to be
comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. When you sign Aaron Rodgers, you got to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Ideally, and this is for sure, this is guaranteed, the Jets will have a new GM. They will have a new head coach. And I would like them to have a new quarterback as well. So the wish list is simple. We got to just get things tighter. We got to tighten it up. And we got to get our swagger back, because a couple of years ago, even when Rodgers got hurt, I mean, it was obviously a huge blow. But this is still a young, talented roster. You could go all over and find dudes on this team. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Now you have another young back in Braylon Allen, who is at flash potential. You have an offensive line that is young, but you got Olu Fashanu, who is, since replacing Tyron Smith, he's had a few spots where, looked a little shaky early on, but he's gotten a lot better, especially in pass protection as your left tackle. So it looks like you have your left tackle of the future. Elijah Vera-Tucker, underrated guard. Joe Tippmann, his second year as a starter at center, and he's improved greatly. You spent money on Simpson from the Ravens, who's only 26 years old, as a left guard, and he's played well. He gets a penalty, sometimes holds a little bit, but overall in protection, played well. So you got an O-line. You got Quincy Williams. You got Sauce Gardner. You got Quinnen Williams. Jermaine Johnson Jr., who got hurt early in the season, was coming off for a Pro Bowl at the age of 22. Will McDonald has 12 and a half sacks this year in his first year as a starter. So there's guys all over. And Jermaine Sherwood I'm leaving out of this too, who's emerged as like a fourth, fifth round pick a few years ago with Joe Douglas, and Saleh really liked him. He's been really good. So they have pieces. You shore up a little bit. You spend money in the secondary. DJ Reed's up. I would like to bring him back for one more year. But regardless, you need a head coach. You need a guy who can command respect, but also empower the guys to get their mojo and swagger back. Because right now it's not there. But the amount of games they've lost that have been due to just poor coaching and bad decision-making and missed kicks and blown aside. It's just, if things were tighter, and a guy that could fix that is Mike Vrabel. And the Jets have interviewed, there's rumors they're bringing in Ron Rivera. That would be a disaster. They've considered Rex Ryan. I would love that. Bring me Rex back. I call it a stupid decision, but listen, the last time this franchise was anything relevant, Rex Ryan was at the helm. And he at least cares and wants the job, which why would anyone want this job is beyond me. But Rex Ryan, he's as crazy as all us Jet fans, as crazy as his team drives us and makes me. I don't know. But bring in a coach who actually commands respect. I think Ron Rivera could do that. I just don't really trust him. And I don't want anyone named Riverboat Ron, with a nickname like Riverboat and involved with the Jets. That's just not going to work out. Mike Vrabel would be ideal. I don't think Mike Vrabel wants anything to do with us because he's way too smart to get involved with the New York Jets. And then lastly, I do want a new quarterback. I like Jordan Travis, the kid that we took from Florida State. He would have been a Heisman candidate. Was a Heisman candidate until he went down early in the year. I think I've referenced him before on the podcast. I would like to see him, a couple times. I would like to see him get a shot. Probably not that realistic. So, at quarterback, I don't know what to do. I don't want to draft anybody, at least not in the first couple rounds. I really don't have an answer here. All I'm trying to say is the Jets drive me crazy, and I don't know why I do this to myself.
Can I tell you the future? So here's the situation with Davante Adams. God bless him, because my God, he's been through so much. He wanted to go back to the Raiders, hang out with his buddy from Fresno State, with Derrick Carr, and then he gets traded to the New York Jets, and things haven't been right with Aaron Rodgers, and you're going to keep on seeing it. There's just a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misconceptions, going on with the New York Jets right now internally. I think they did the correct thing in order to, fulfill that GM role, soon, and also get a head coach. But don't get it twisted. We all know this is going down. This is what's going to happen. Davante Adams is going to stay with the New York Jets. But guess what? Aaron Rodgers is gone, right? And what happens when Davante Adams doesn't have his guy? It causes more controversy. So this is what I think happens. I think Atlanta calls you and says, I know you need a quarterback. I want to keep Michael Penix as my starting quarterback moving forward. I'm done with Kirk Cousins. We'll eat up 75% of his salary. You could take him, give us a fourth or fifth round pick. Give us a fifth round pick. Give us a fifth round pick for Kirk Cousins. And then you have Kirk Cousins under center moving forward. But they're still going to suck. Because Kirk Cousins, for whatever reason, he cannot see light at the end of the tunnel. I don't understand it. He's a good quarterback. He has a high completion percentage. He throws the ball, at a high clip. But he still is going to get in his own way. And that's why I do think the Jets, they will continue to ride the veteran quarterback momentum until they find the next guy that they can potentially see as being the next guy, right? They have the seventh. Go ahead.
I would rather Rodgers than Cousins, because Cousins, his arm looked done, and maybe he needs surgery. I don't know.
We need a quarterback, right? And check out what quarterbacks are available, whether that's free agency, whether that's trade. The draft, we know it's not the best draft for quarterbacks. They have the 7th pick projected right now for quarterback. So do you try to trade up and get Cam Ward? Like, that's another guy. So my whole point is, if you have all this talent, if you have a defense, who is going to be the next guy? I ask you that because Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone. He's leaving. No resolution here. That's the issue.
Darnold?
And no, Sam Darnold is not leaving. Actually, this brings up a good point. That opens up a spot for J.J. McCarthy. Why not take a shot? Why not take a shot with J.J. McCarthy, have Jordan Davis and J.J. McCarthy battle it out? Because Sam Darnold isn't going anywhere. You saw it on that video. He is not going anywhere. He's got that team by the horns, and he's not going anywhere. He's staying with the Vikings.
I mean, if I were the Vikings, I would not let him walk. But I would maybe consider doing what the Pats did with Castle. Tag and trade.
He's not going anywhere.
I wouldn't do that. I would pay Darnold. If I'm them,
no. 27 years old.
You don't
he's
mess
not like
with
30,
what you
35.
have.
Like, he's 27.
No.
Yeah.
And he works there. Like, clearly, like him and Kevin O'Connell, you got Addison, you got Jefferson, Hawkinson, all the Sons ins. You got everything there. Why mess it up? And you got a great, like a young, smart, offensive-minded coach who has really brought the best out of Darnold. And obviously, that everything there has worked. And we said it from the beginning. I knew this was going to be a good marriage. I didn't think it was going to be this good.
Yeah.